All right, so today we're diving deep into the world of Benny Blanco. You might not know the name right off the bat, but I guarantee you've heard his music.
Oh, absolutely. His fingerprints are all over the charts.
Right. I mean, this is the guy, Benjamin Joseph Levin, born in good old Reston, Virginia, back in '88. And he has really quietly shaped the sound of pop music for what feels like forever. And what we're going to unpack today is how he's gone from kind of this behind-the-scenes hitmaker to a bona fide artist in his own right.
Yeah, and when you think about his influence, it's really reflected in the sheer amount of accolades he's racked up. I mean, just think about it. You've got the Songwriters Hall of Fame recognizing him early on with the 2013 Hal David Starlight Award. Then you've got five BMI Songwriter of the Year awards, the iHeartRadio Producer of the Year award in 2017. And to top it all off, 11 Grammy nominations. This isn't just a flash-in-the-pan success story. This is sustained excellence over a long period of time.
Absolutely. And, his career, you could say it really launched into the stratosphere when he was mentored by Dr. Luke. Right.
And, that partnership kind of catapulted him to a point where, he's now got over 500 million album equivalent units sold under his belt. Just let that sink in for a second.
It's hard to even wrap your head around a number like that.
Right. And for the listeners out there, that's basically taking, the physical albums, the digital downloads, the streams, everything, and kind of putting it into one giant metric.
Right. It's really a measure of overall impact across all the different ways that people consume music today.
Exactly. And what's even more impressive to me is the variety of artists he's worked with. I mean, are you ready for this list? This is a long one. Mm-hmm. Okay, so we've got Ed Sheeran, BTS, Eminem, Justin Bieber, Halsey, Katy Perry, Maroon 5, Christina Aguilera, Kesha, Britney Spears, Rihanna, Sia The Weeknd, Kanye West, Avicii, Selena Gomez, Adam Lambert, Charlie Puth, Keith Urban, One Republic, Wiz Khalifa, J Balvin, Ariana Grande, Kali Uchis Juice WRLD, and SZA.
That's like a who's who of popular music across every genre imaginable.
Right. It's kind of wild. It really is.
Yeah.
And I think it speaks to his ability to adapt to different styles and connect with really distinct creative voices. When you have to wonder, how does someone bridge the gap between, say, Eminem's world and the world of Ariana Grande?
Yeah, I mean, that's the magic question, right? So we've talked about, him being this behind-the-scenes force, crafting hits for everyone else. But in 2018, he kind of stepped into the spotlight with his own debut single, East Side.
Yeah, featuring Halsey and Khaled.
Yeah, and I think that was a really big statement. It landed at number 9 on the Billboard Hot 100. It topped charts internationally. So he wasn't just dabbling, he was making a real splash as a lead artist.
For sure. And it wasn't a one-hit wonder either. He followed East Side with a bunch of other singles. I Found You with Calvin Harris, Better to Lie with Jesse and Sway Lee, and Roses, which featured Brendan Urie and Juice WRLD. And all of these tracks kind of laid the groundwork for his first full-length studio album, Friends Keep Secrets, which came out in December of 2018.
And that wasn't even the end of that album's journey, was it? Because in March 2021, we got a deluxe version, Friends Keep Secrets 2, which has the hit single Lonely with Justin Bieber.
Right.
So he's just constantly, exploring new ground, both behind the scenes and now very much as a performer himself.
Yeah. And beyond his own artistry, he's also been shaping the industry as a whole through his record labels, Mad Love Records and Friends Keep Secrets. He founded those back in 2014 under Interscope. And those labels, they became home to some pretty big names. You think of Tory Lanez, Jessie Ware, Cashmere Cat, and then in 2024, he takes on the role of general manager at A&M Records. So it's clear he doesn't just have an ear for hits. He has an eye for talent and for running a successful operation.
Yeah, it's interesting to think about, how his experience on the creative side probably influences his approach to leading a label.
I'm sure there's a lot of overlap there.
Yeah. So let's rewind a bit, way back to his beginnings. Even as a kid, he was already producing hip-hop instrumentals in his bedroom.
Which, honestly, isn't that surprising when you think about how common that is now. Bedroom producers are everywhere these days.
Very true. But back then, it was probably a little less common. And he's talked about how Nas's The World Is Yours and All Four Ones, I Swear, were big influences for him early on.
That's such an interesting mix of styles. You've got that gritty New York hip-hop sound, and then you've got this smooth R&B ballad.
Yeah, and I think you can almost hear those early influences in the way he blends genres so effortlessly in his work today.
Totally. And it's worth noting that he actually started out rapping himself, even getting noticed by the Source magazine and Columbia Records.
Oh, yeah, that's right. And his stage name, Benny Blanco, it comes from Carlito's Way.
Which, if you think about it, is kind of a nod to his early identity as a white rapper.
Absolutely. I mean, the ambition, the drive was there from day one.
Clearly.
Yeah.
And before he really hit the big time, he also got some really valuable experience apprenticing under producer Disco D.
Yeah, so he was really learning from the ground up, absorbing knowledge from more seasoned figures in the industry. And, all that hands-on experience, it definitely paid off. I mean, shortly after that, he connects with Dr. Luke, and that mentorship, you could say, kind of changed everything for him.
Yeah, that partnership really launched him into the heart of pop music production. And the run of hits they produced together is just staggering. You've got Katy Perry's Teenage Dream, Kesha's TiK ToK, and Taio Cruz's Dynamite. Those are some of the defining pop songs of that era.
I mean, those songs were everywhere. They were inescapable.
Absolutely. And when you listen back to them now, they still sound so fresh and exciting.
For sure. And what do you think Benny Blanco brought to those collaborations? What was his secret sauce?
Well, I think he has a knack for crafting really infectious melodies and creating these sonic textures that are both familiar and unexpected.
Yeah. I mean, think about that driving beat in TiK ToK or the layered synths in Teenage Dream. They're so distinct.
Yeah. Obviously, Dr. Luke had his own production style, but I think Benny Blanco's fingerprints are all over those tracks. And then in 2008, he worked with Britney Spears on Circus. That song reached #3 on the Billboard Hot 100, and it became one of the best-selling songs globally that year. I mean, that must have been a huge moment for him.
Oh, yeah. It really solidified his reputation as a hitmaker. And what's even more interesting is that he didn't just rest on his laurels.
Right. In 2011, he starts to branch out on his own, and he co-writes and produces his first charting hits outside of his partnership with Dr. Luke. So you've got Maroon 5's Moves Like Jagger, Gym Class Heroes, Stereo Hearts, 308 Top 3's Don't Trust Me.
Yeah.
He's proving that he can make hits with anyone in any genre.
He was a hot commodity, for sure, and then his work on Maroon 5's Overexposed album and that smash hit Single Payphone further solidified his status as a solo hitmaker.
Absolutely. And in 2013, he receives the Hal David Starlight Award. And that's a significant accolade because it comes from the songwriting community itself. They're recognizing his talent and his contributions early on.
Yeah, it's like getting the stamp of approval from your peers.
Exactly. And his output since then has been phenomenal. I mean, 29 #1 songs, collaborations with artists as diverse as BTS and Gracie Abrams, long-term partnerships with Ed Sheeran and Justin Bieber. The list goes on and on.
I mean, the guy is a machine.
He really is. And it speaks to his ability to connect with different artistic visions and adapt his production style to suit each collaboration. And that's why he was named Producer of the Year at the 2017 iHeartRadio Music Awards.
Yeah, it's a well-deserved recognition. And, beyond all the commercial success, he's also explored his own artistic side with projects like the Bangers and Cash EP with Spank Rock back in 2007.
Which, if you haven't heard it, it's worth checking out. It's got a much more experimental kind of hip-hop influence sound compared to his later pop work.
It definitely shows a different side of his musical personality. And even his 2019 release, I Found Unilda's Story with Calvin Harris and Miguel, which was done to benefit asylum seekers. I mean, that shows a willingness to use his platform for something more than just entertainment.
Absolutely. He's using his voice to make a difference. And 2019 was a busy year for him in terms of his own releases. He put out I Can't Get Enough with Taney, Selena Gomez, and J Balvin. And then there was Graduation with Juice WRLD. He was really starting to carve out his own space as a recording artist. And he kept that momentum going through 2020 and 2021 with tracks like Lonely with Justin Bieber, the posthumous release Real Shit with Juice WRLD, Unlearned with Gracie Abrams, and of course the expanded Friends Keep Secrets 2 album. He was really hitting his stride.
Yeah, he was on a roll. And even more recently, we've seen him collaborate on Bad Decisions with BTS, along with Jin, Jimin, V, and Jungkook and Snoop Dogg, and then another posthumous Juice WRLD track, Lace It, featuring Eminem. So he's continuing to work with these huge names across different generations and genres.
Now, looking ahead, there's a lot of buzz around his collaborative album with Selena Gomez, I Said I Love You First. That's set to drop in March 2025, and it features the track Scared of Loving You.
Yeah, I'm really curious to hear what they come up with together. It's kind of this fascinating blend of their personal and professional lives.
For sure. And, it's not just music where he's flexing his creative muscles. He's also dipped his toes into the world of media with those cooking shows, Maddie and Benny Eat Out America and Stupid Fucking Cooking Show with Maddie Matheson on YouTube.
Oh, yeah, I've seen those. They're hilarious.
He's a natural in front of the camera. And he even had an acting role in the FXX series, Dave.
Yeah, he's not afraid to try new things. And his cookbook, Open Wide, which became a New York Times bestseller after it came out in April 2024, that just further solidifies his status as this multi-talented creative force.
And it's not just a straightforward cookbook. It features contributions from his wide circle of friends, which, again, speaks to his collaborative spirit.
Yeah, he's always bringing people together. And on a personal note, his relationship and recent engagement to Selena Gomez, which was announced in December 2024, has definitely put him in the spotlight even more.
It has. But let's circle back to his music for a bit. I think it's worth exploring his creative process because he's given some really interesting insights in interviews.
Yeah, absolutely. So in one YouTube interview, he talked about the evolution of songs like Maroon 5's Animals. And get this, it took 8 years from the initial idea to the final release. 8 years. Yeah. And the original demo for Omar Malik's song that eventually became Gym Class Heroes' Stereo Hearts, it sounded completely different.
That's wild.
Yeah. So it just goes to show you that songwriting and production, it's not always this linear process.
It's about being open to letting a song evolve and taking its time.
Exactly. And Stereo Hearts, the fact that it started with a different artist and a completely different sound, it just shows you how unpredictable the creative process can be.
Totally. Yeah, sometimes, the best ideas need time to simmer and find their perfect form.
Absolutely. And then you've got songs like Maroon 5's Moves Like Jagger, where he said the chorus just popped into his head out of nowhere at the most inconvenient time.
It's like that with so many creative breakthroughs. They often come when you least expect them.
Yeah. And he initially thought that Moves Like Jagger chorus was something he would use for himself, but then he realized it would be perfect for Maroon 5.
Yeah, it's about recognizing when an idea has found its right home.
Exactly. And then there's the story of Julia Michaels' issues. So many established artists wanted that song, but she felt such a personal connection to it that she decided to become an artist herself.
And what a great decision that turned out to be.
Right. It's a testament to the power of trusting your own artistic vision, even when there's pressure to do something else.
Absolutely. And then you've got the story of Rihanna's Diamonds, which apparently came together incredibly quickly in the studio, almost like magic.
Yeah, and then you've got the bridge for Kesha's We Are Who We Are, which was literally written and recorded in 30 minutes.
Wow. So you've got these songs that took years to develop, and then you've got these songs that were born in a matter of minutes.
It just goes to show you that there's no one-size-fits-all approach to songwriting.
Exactly. Every song has its own unique journey.
And then there's Benny Blanco's relationship with Ed Sheeran. I mean, they've written so many hits together.
A true songwriting dream team.
Yeah. And he mentioned in an interview that while they were working on Sheeran's Divide album, which took 2 years, they were also writing #1 songs for other artists at the same time.
It's incredible how prolific they are.
Yeah. And they were doing all this while on tour, often working in makeshift studios on the road.
That's a level of dedication and focus that's pretty remarkable.
Yeah, they just have this incredible synergy. And then there's the story of how they wrote Justin Bieber's Love Yourself on Drake's tour bus.
That's become a legendary anecdote.
It really is. And when he talked about Juice WRLD, he just lit up. He was so clearly impressed by Juice WRLD's talent and his work ethic.
Yeah. He saw something special in Juice WRLD from the very beginning, and he really championed his music.
Absolutely. And it seems like Benny Blanco's philosophy on music creation is really about trusting his gut, creating a fun and comfortable environment for artists, and recognizing that magic can happen when you least expect it.
I think that's a great way to sum it up. He's not just a producer. He's a facilitator, a collaborator, and a champion for other artists.
Yeah, and I think that's what makes him so successful. He's able to bring out the best in everyone he works with.
Totally. So as we wrap up this deep dive into the world of Benny Blanco, what are some of the key takeaways for you?
Well, I think it's fascinating how he's gone from aspiring rapper to this behind-the-scenes hitmaker to a successful artist in his own right. It just shows you that there are so many different paths to success in the music industry.
Yeah, and it's also a reminder to stay open to different creative possibilities. You never know where your passion might lead you.
And the stories behind his hits, I mean, they really highlight how unpredictable and sometimes lengthy the songwriting process can be.
Absolutely. It's not always a straightforward path from inspiration to finished product.
And I think Benny Blanco's emphasis on intuition and creating a supportive atmosphere for artists is really inspiring. It's a reminder that the human element is so crucial in music creation.
Yeah. It's about fostering those connections and creating a space where creativity can flourish.
And lastly, I think the way his songs have evolved over time, from those initial ideas to the final versions, It just shows you the transformative power of collaboration.
Totally. It's about trusting the process and being open to new possibilities.
So if you're interested in learning more about Benny Blanco, I definitely recommend checking out his discography. And his cooking shows and cookbook are a lot of fun, too.
They really are. And who knows what other surprising stories might be hiding behind your favorite songs. Maybe that's something for our listeners to ponder.
Food for thought.
Indeed.
All right, that's a wrap for today's deep dive. Thanks for listening.
Thanks for having me. It was fun.